A cold wind howled through the jagged mountains as a mysterious figure emerged from the mist, his eyes hollow with the weight of memories no human should carry. The man's name had been forgotten by most, but his tale endured, spoken only in whispers, in hushed tones around fires, as if even the words carried a curse. They said he had seen the unseeable, endured what no soul should, and somehow returned from the abyss that consumes all others. This is the story of the man who journeyed into hell itself and came back forever changed. Long ago, in a land cloaked in superstition and ruled by unseen forces, there lived a man whose ambitions exceeded even the boundaries of life and death. He had been a scholar once, devoted to the study of forbidden texts and the hidden knowledge of the ancients. The villagers called him mad, for he claimed that death was not the end, but merely a passage, one that could be traversed in both directions. Laughed at and cast out, he disappeared into the shadows, and for years no one heard his name again, until he returned. When he came back to the village, his body was intact, but his eyes had seen something no man was meant to witness. He was gaunt and pale, his breath shallow, and he spoke with a voice that echoed like distant thunder. He told a tale that defied belief, a journey into the underworld, into the depths of hell itself, where he had walked among the damned, spoken to fallen kings. Hearts of the villagers trembled when he stumbled into the town square, clothes torn and skin pale as ash, claiming to have crossed the threshold of hell itself and returned. At first, no one believed him. They called him mad, cursed, even dangerous. But there was something in his gaze, something ancient and beyond comprehension, that made people pause. That gaze was heavy with knowledge that should have stayed buried in the deepest parts of the underworld. He was not always like this. Once, he had been a humble man, a scholar perhaps, driven by a thirst for understanding the divine and the damned. He had studied forgotten texts, deciphered cursed manuscripts, and wandered into temples long buried beneath the earth. Somewhere along the way, he found a passage, a doorway not meant for the living. He did not stumble into hell by accident. He sought it. His journey began with a forbidden ritual under a blood-red moon, performed in a forest where no birds sang and no sunlight touched the soil. He claimed that the trees there whispered names of demons, and the ground pulsed like a beating heart. He carved symbols into the earth with his own blood, chanting words in a tongue no human had spoken in millennia. As the air turned thick and the stars blinked out one by one, a gate appeared, not of stone or wood, but of flame and shadow. It beckoned him, and he stepped through. On the other side was no fire and brimstone as the holy books described. Instead, he found a sprawling city of twisted architecture where the laws of nature were warped beyond recognition. Buildings were made of bone and sinew, streets paved with the tongues of liars, and the sky rained ash that whispered secrets of the damned into his ears. He walked among the lost souls who did not wail or scream, but stared in endless silence. Their faces changed constantly, shifting between agony and ecstasy, as if their suffering was being controlled by some unseen hand. Time flowed differently. Days passed in minutes, or perhaps centuries. He couldn't be sure. He spoke to beings that had long since abandoned their humanity. Once kings who ruled with blood and were now chained in pits of their own making. Warriors who killed in the name of gods, now flayed daily by shadows. Lovers who betrayed each other, now fused into grotesque forms, forever screaming without breath. The man claimed he reached the very center of hell, a throne of infinite cold, surrounded by the darkest void. There sat the first fallen, not a horned beast, but a figure of unbearable beauty. This being did not speak, but thoughts were implanted directly into his mind, thoughts that shattered his understanding of existence. He learned the names of angels that fell not out of rebellion, but curiosity, and the truths that had been buried by every religion on earth. He said hell was not a punishment, but a mirror, a reflection of the soul's deepest fears and desires. When he returned, he bore physical scars no blade could have made. His skin was marked with sigils that glowed faintly in the dark, and his shadow moved independently of him. He avoided mirrors, for he claimed they no longer reflected his soul. He would wake up screaming from dreams filled with the laughter of dead children and the scent of burning thoughts. Animals feared him, and the weather around him turned violent, lightning striking where he stood, rain falling only on his roof. He began to speak in languages no one could identify. Scholars and priests visited him, hoping to understand or debunk his claims. Some called him a prophet, others a demon in human skin. One priest who tried to exorcise him went mad within hours, gouging out his own eyes while whispering, "He sees me now." A linguist who attempted to record the unknown words he spoke found that his recordings changed themselves overnight, becoming endless loops of screaming and sobbing. He warned people of things to come, of a war not between nations, but between realms. He said the gate he entered was not the only one, and others had started to open. He spoke of ancient creatures stirring beneath oceans and within volcanoes, waiting for the veil between worlds to thin. And he begged people to stop digging, stop summoning, stop searching for the truth that lies beyond death, because some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. His final days were marked by silence. He no longer spoke, ate, or even blinked. He sat still, staring at the same corner of his room for weeks. Those who looked into his eyes claimed they saw their own deaths play out in perfect clarity. Some say he vanished in the night, others that he was taken back by whatever let him go. But no body was ever found, only the sigils burned into the walls and a single phrase etched into the floor with fingernails. Hell remembers. To this day, his story circulates among those who study the occult, whispered in dimly lit rooms and forums hidden from the common web. Whether he was truly a man who journeyed to the land of the dead, or simply a tortured soul consumed by obsession, is still debated. But what cannot be denied is the effect he left behind. People he encountered reported dreams filled with impossible landscapes and voices that whispered forbidden knowledge. Some disappeared. Some were found mumbling his warnings, eyes wide with fear. Legends grew around his tale. Some said he wasn't the first to make the journey. Others believe he succeeded in doing what many had tried and failed, returning from the place where souls are weighed and judged. There are cults who worship him, calling him the Gatewalker. They claim he will return when the stars align and lead them into the new world beyond life. Governments dismissed him as a lunatic, yet confidential reports suggest an entire department was dedicated to decoding the symbols he left behind. Perhaps the most chilling part of the story is that he was not extraordinary before his descent. He was a man like any other, curious, flawed, and driven by questions. What he found on the other side was not meant for human minds, and yet he brought some of it back. Whether it was knowledge or curse remains unclear. In the end, the story of the man who went to hell and returned serves as both a warning and a mystery. A warning of what lies beyond the veil, and a mystery that continues to unravel in the minds of those who dare to listen. For some doors should never be opened, but once you know they exist, can you resist the urge to find them? And when you do, when the shadows start whispering your name and the ground opens beneath your feet, remember his words, carved into the floor with blood and fear. Hell remembers.